What's up, what's up, what's up? How's it going, people? I'm pumped up. I'm pumped up. I love doing Hangouts. I'll tell you why. Because I know that this is an opportunity for me to utilize my passion, for me to be able to help and connect with you, for me to be able to learn and grow, and then ultimately, us as a team, we grow, we learn, we help other people. I know that it starts here. You know, a lot of it is this is like a hub, and I appreciate each one of you. Every time you come, whenever you watch this, whenever you share this with people, when you invite your prospects, I know it's just an ongoing process for success. So let me just do a couple of things real quick. I want to make sure that it's actually live and everyone's seeing it. You know, the attendees are there, and just a quick update. So just give me. Okay. Get confirmation it's live and we're good to go. All right, it's confirmed. We're live. It's good to go. How's it going, Neil? I didn't even get to go surfing today, Neil. I was super bummed out about that. But the waves aren't really good where I'm located right now, so it didn't matter anyhow. I appreciate you coming out. Susie, how you doing? Good to see you again. Super pumped to have KK Chan. Paul, how you doing? Matt, how's everyone going today? We got a big crew here. Maria, good to see you. 156 attendees. Now, I don't know how accurate that thing is because sometimes it only goes down to like 90 now, and then it shoots back up when we do these live. So I assume that it's somewhat accurate. I would assume that those of you that are chatting, those are. This is what we want to do. My name is Stephen Munson. Appreciate you coming here to this Google Hangout. I'm right on my balcony in Hawaii. I live in Waikiki. I actually just moved to this location on Monday, and I was living on the North Shore of Hawaii for about 3 months. Before that, prior to that, I was actually living here in the same building. I lived in 2 condos in this building, and in fact, I lived in this exact same unit, the same unit. Which, let me show you something. Right here, you can see this was on one of my vision boards, right here. Now, it means a lot to me in different things, but this was one of the aspects where I'm at right now, where I'm located. And I don't really mess around when it comes to success. I don't mess around. I don't play because I personally went through so many different challenges in life, and I never felt successful. I didn't know what my success was. I knew I had passion, but I had absolutely zero purpose. I didn't know what my purpose was. I don't know why. I don't have kids. I'm not in a relationship. You know, I don't have. I didn't have something. I was like, this is my. But let me just show you real quick. These are the vision boards I made when I was poor because I had nothing else. I barely could get the magazine. Getting the magazines was the hardest part. The glue. I did that back in September last year, but you want to know what? I needed that to happen. I didn't take the whole magazine. I didn't rip out all the awesome pictures, but I did take a couple. This was the first vision board that I made this year. I mean, look at this just for a moment and dig in here. You can see on the top right, make more money, empower yourself, commitment, passion. There's a lot going on there. It's some incredible things that have visions about and dream about. Now, I was so poor, and not just financially. I was beaten in every which way. I kept making them because they made me feel good. When I was actually creating the vision boards, I was feeling good about it. So then I want to show you these just so you can have a good idea how serious I took this. Boom, here's another vision board. Taming the brain, which is one of the most important things that you will ever do in your entire life. Underdog. Isn't it kind of bizarre? We created the Jam Underdog program, and I apologize for those of you who are underdogs. You're like, where's my underdog program? We got you. It's coming to you. But it's cool how a lot of these things have come real, have already started to happen in my life since I created these. And I was then inspired to do another one as I started to love surfing. Because then all of a sudden I was like, man, I love to surf. And so I started putting these surfing ones. And all of a sudden I got a GoPro. A company just gave me 2 GoPros. Just gave me 2 GoPros. Gave me 2 surfboards that are sitting right here. I'll show you in a second. But this isn't to brag. This isn't because I'm rich, because I'm not wealthy. I'm not bragging. I live in Hawaii because I worked hard. But ultimately, I live in Hawaii because God wanted me here. But realistically, besides that, besides God wanting me here or I worked hard, is because I was brave enough to come here. And you're like, brave enough to go to Hawaii? How brave do you have to go to Hawaii? It takes a lot of bravery. I'll be honest with you. It's another world. You have to leave a lot of things behind you. You have to have the courage to stay where you realistically don't know people. It's not like you have some sort of base. I lived in Florida for most of my life, and I lived in other parts of the world. Country, realistically, I lived in Atlanta. I lived in California for a couple years with Paul. I lived in Las Vegas with Tony Robbins, event manager. I worked for her. Tony Robbins, head event coordinator. I actually worked for her for the summer, and it was an awesome job. I almost followed through and stayed with it, but it just wasn't for me at the time. And well, let's say this: it could have been for me at the time if I wanted to dedicate to it. But I wasn't dedicated to it because I was personally lost in my own life. I was lost. I was beat up in my own struggle. I was creating my own problems over and over again. And if you see the title of this is Conquer Yourself. You got to conquer yourself to be able to realistically have what you desire. And how do you conquer yourself? Everybody's different. There is no one particular way. There is no one way to conquer yourself. I can't give you a blueprint to conquer yourself, but there is a lot of things that you could do or anyone could do to help conquer themselves. And what do we mean by that also? Conquer yourself. I believe that that's aligning your passion with your purpose in life. Now, we all probably know what our passion is because it's something that fires up, makes us feel alive. And some of us might know our purpose, a lot of us might not. And as I said before, that's something I'm going to go into an entire set of passion and purpose. I want to focus today on conquering yourself because I think that if you're here today, you want to make money in an Empower Network. You want every Friday for the Empower Network to send you a check. You want every single week to get a payout from Empower Network. Have you made any money? Have you made money with the Empower Network? I know a lot of people have. So let's take the Big Idea Mastermind, for example. A lot of the people in the Big Idea Mastermind have made substantial amount of money. I had this question today: is Vick the only one who's made money? Well, Vick's made $1 million. Paul has made over 100,000. Miles, okay, myself. The list goes on and on of people who've made an incredible amount of money. And then there's like thousands of people who've made a small amount of money. But there's a big gap. And we don't want this to be the rich and the poor, because we're a unit, we're a team, and we all have the same opportunity. If you don't conquer yourself, you're going to be like one of those gift cards. You want to know why gift cards are such a gigantic you go to buy $25 gift card. Let's say you buy $20 gift, $5 gift card from Outback, and you go and give it to You say you just buy it and you go give it to your friend. Hey, I just want to give you an Outback card. You know, just, I know you love those buns with that butter. If you ever go to Outback and get that honey butter, it's actually literally, they're so big. It's because, let's say you go to Outback and you spend $23.42 on the card. Okay? There's $1, whatever, 58 left. Typically, that $1.58 gets just put on the counter, and you put the gift card on your counter, and all of a sudden you have a stack of gift cards. Some gift cards never get used ever. They pay. Here's $25. Okay, cool. Come in and get the dinner or drinks or whatever whenever you want. You've already paid for it. But then it's never even taken advantage of. Don't be a gift card, because that's what a lot of us are doing. We're being a gift card. You already have this. You've already paid. You've already engaged. You've already purchased. You've already committed. You've already said you wanted to do this. You've already decided that you didn't want to go to work anymore. But you got to utilize all the tools that are available to you. That doesn't mean you're going to end up using all the tools each and every day, but it does mean that you need to take advantage of it. Okay, Paul's saying I'm having a really bad connection here. So yeah, I'm trying right now. I've already ordered the internet to come, and I hope it's not too shaky, too bad. So it is what it is, guys. Whatever message, hopefully you can get something out of the message. We're only going to be here for 20 minutes. So it's important in life that you conquer yourself. Because a lot of times we don't conquer ourselves. We go into old patterns and old disruptive ways. We can begin to sabotage our own opportunity for success. We begin to talk about things that are not successful, that are, maybe they're not negative, but they're not attracting anything to you that you truly want. Now, I wanted to go in and pull up this example. I don't know the person. They're not Enjoy to Mentor. It's in Big Idea Mastermind. But I wanted to show an example of what I meant, but I'm not going to do this because I don't want to blast this person, because I know that they're sincere, they're struggling, and they're wearing their heart on their sleeves, and I understand that. I've been there. A lot of us have been there. But when you go and you post, let's say you post some big, long thing in Facebook for the world to read, okay, and it's your whole story. It's your whole story of why you're not successful, but asking why you're not successful and asking for other people's tips so you could be successful. The only reason you're not successful is because of your story of not being successful, because of your conviction of not being successful. That's why you're not successful. I promise you. I wasn't successful for so long only because I felt like I wasn't successful. I was a top earner recruiting company. Okay, I went in there, no experience whatsoever, earned $170,000 a year. I helped some incredible people get jobs with Fortune 500 companies. I remember the company was, you know, offering me different ways to advance so I could earn more money, and I didn't feel successful because I did not feel like what I was doing had any, like, was not part of my purpose. I'm an entrepreneur. I love to do that. But, you know, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer in God. And my purpose was not building. I knew it, but I didn't feel successful. That's not because I wasn't successful. It was because I was painting a picture to myself that I wasn't successful. How can you, and some of you are saying, how can you earn $170,000, or I don't know, $110,000? How can you earn that much money and feel like you weren't successful and get all these people hired with these incredible jobs? Because there wasn't connection there with me, with what I wanted to do, and I didn't feel successful. But ultimately, I believe, looking back, is because I was standing in my own way, again and again and again. Because I went from opportunity to opportunity. And I would be able to make some money, sometimes substantial amount of money. Sometimes I was doing incredibly well. Okay, it just wasn't right for me. You know, I did webinars for almost 3 years and earned the company nearly $2 million. I still didn't feel successful. But at that point in my life, I was ultimately the only thing stopping myself. The only thing in my way was me. And I had to conquer myself. The only way I did that was actually working hard on myself. I didn't open the books. I didn't go on YouTube and learn things. I didn't go to, you know, master video marketing. I and go and practice how to write autoresponders, I worked hard on myself only. And that's extremely hard to do when you have no money. It really is, because most of the time you're like, I have to work hard. There's no time for this. There's no time to work on myself. There's no time for this. Have you ever said that about going to the gym, reading a book? Think about it. There's no time for yourself because it's hard. Meditating is really hard. It takes a time dedication, patience, silence, peace. Around because what are we doing? We're trying to run ourselves over. We're trying to get out of our own way. We're trying to make sure to conquer ourselves, but we're not even realizing. So we're stuck on a story All right. It looks like we're live. I don't know. Let's see. All right. Quick feedback, if you guys can hear me, if there's people here, where you lost me. If anyone could hear anything, I'd like to get this thing cranking. I'm not quite sure. All of a sudden, I just lost connection. I'm here where I'm at. I mean, there's Wi-Fi. It's supposed to work good. It's not the actual, my own service, so I don't think it's super reliable. Okay. So we're live. Not really sure what's the last thing that you guys saw or heard. Okay, cool. Thanks, Neil. Thanks, Paul. Sweet. Okay, so I don't even know what the last thing you heard is, but what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to start right here. I'm going to start out with saying this. If you're in your way, you're always going to be blaming other people. You're always going to be using that story of yours. I don't know if you're using a story, okay? And honestly, I could probably only talk for myself, okay? I don't know that you're using a story. I know a lot of us do. I know it's a common thing that, you know, you have something go wrong and you hold on to it forever and you never let it go and it's always a problem and you never get out of it. It's FML. It always happens to me. You know, over and over and over, your story can pull you down. Does that make sense? That story of yours can pull you down. So I want to make sure that everyone, you know, really does the best to get out of their own way. Because I think a lot of us are in our way, and we don't even know it. And I want you to get out of your way so you can conquer yourself. And you got to do a lot of things by working hard. You know, what I did personally was I got like a little journal, so I'd be able to write stuff. I'd read some books, like actually read the books. I'd go into the library. I'd go sit on the beach. I would just try to meditate, clear my mind, get free of everything, and just continually working hard on myself. But I did things. I went, and Darren Little, who was a mentor of mine, he suggested that I do the awakening process. So I went through his entire thing. He's got a YouTube on it. It's awesome. You know, it took like an hour. I went through this whole process to do this awakening. That was one big milestone for me, is it shifted a lot of things. And, you know, the whole purpose of the awakening is to surrender, forgive yourself for everything that's going on in your life, because ultimately we create our own realities. You know, I constantly did this. I was in personal development world for a long time. I went through the personal development thing. I was, you know, part of a lot of big, you know, personal development organizations and mentors and coaches and the environments. And, you know, a lot of times that stuff was working, but it wasn't ultimately fixing the problems. You know, my problem was fixed when I just decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to forget worrying about everybody. I'm going to focus on what God wants me to do, and I'm going to use my passion for that purpose. That's it. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm not going to overwhelm myself. I'm not going to try to take on more than I can, although I have a lot of times. But I'm going to sit back, and I'm going to have faith in what I'm doing, and I'm going to break through. And ultimately, that's when I became successful. Because that's when I felt successful. That's when I felt guided and I knew what I was able to do. It wasn't because I made money. Because when I made money, when I was poor, the same feeling existed. And it was a lot of times me just bulldozing myself, right? I was the only thing in my way, ultimately. All right. I want to focus on a couple things that... So, you know, let me just recap this, because I'm sure you missed some of the things, you know, when we got cut off. I don't know how many people attended. There was 153 people, then 162 people, so there's still a lot of people here. Um, if you are right now in a rough place, I don't care if it's in business, if it's in your personal life, you're in a rough place. Don't attract more of that to you. And I made a post today, what you focus on expands. What you focus on are your feelings. So whatever you're focusing on is what's going to expand and attract you, become more part of your life. Whatever you're focused on typically is your feelings. So if you focus on something, that creates your emotions inside because you're focused on that. That's your ultimate outcome. Now, let's say that your problem is that you only have $175, $150. Okay, so you want to get in, you want to get on the inner circle, you want to get the basic, you want to get your membership, you want to buy traffic, you've tried to borrow money, this is all you could get no matter what. Well, you can either tell us a big story about how that's the only thing you can do in your life because of all this list of limitations. Or what you could do is focus on the opportunity, not the obstacle, because the obstacles are what we don't want, right? So if we don't want the obstacle, do not focus on the obstacle. Focus on the opportunity. You can start making money in this business by simply starting with $25, getting your merchant account for $19, which is $44, and you can get free traffic and you can make money. Lots of people have done it like that. So you don't have to have an excess amount of money. If you want to be positioned properly so you don't miss pass-ups, so you can take advantage and get paid at the highest level, then you buy all the products. Okay, so I'm all in. I committed. I buy all the products. So there's not a chance that I can miss on a commission. I pass up commissions to my sponsor, which is Vick. So, I think it's every 5 sales get passed up. That's after your first couple. Every 5 get passed up. So you want to know what? I started changing the way I focused on making money. I started changing when a guy who I worked for years said, you want to know what? If you wanted to earn $250,000 in a year, I would suggest that you focus on tithing $25,000 a year. This was his thing. He said every great leader tithed, contributed, so they would tithe, they would do contribution, and they would do like volunteering. So those are 3 separate different things. They might sound the same, they're not. He goes, every great leader did those. I said, okay, cool. So I'm listening to this guy. I trust him. He's a decade 7-figure earner. He's a private person. So I rarely, even get a chance to connect with myself. But I go, you want to know what? That's cool. So he focuses not on the 250. Because this is what he said. He goes, as soon as I change my focus, because he goes, I used to, I want to earn $1 million. I remember at the time when he was like $600,000 in debt, and he earned it all in a year and made money. Doubled it. And he said, what I used to do is focus on how much money I made. And maybe some of us do that today. I want to make $10,000 a month. That's a nice, healthy number, right? Okay, so you want to make $10,000 a month. What if you just say, and this, listen, guys, please, if I talk about God or the Bible or my purpose or tithing, this isn't a religious hangout. Okay, this isn't your church. You can use it at that, you can focus on that, but you don't have to have any specific religion to be able to understand what I mean here. If you said, I'm going to give $1,000 a month to this charity, this church, this organization, whatever it is, I'm going to tithe, I'm going to give $1,000 a month, that's my goal. What if you focused on it like that? I'm going to give $1,000 a month because ultimately, at the end of the month, then I'm going to earn $10,000. Do you guys know that that actually really works? It does. What you give, you get. And, apparently, like, if you give, you should get tenfold if you're not doing really well. If you're like a really good farmer, you give, you're going to get 100-fold. That's all about how much good you do every single day and everything you do, and remembering to never put your passion in front of your purpose. what do I focus on in the Empower Network, how to make money? Is I focus on how much money I can make for my sponsor, because I know if I can make a sale a week, a sale a month, you know, $1,000 a month for my sponsor, I know how much money ultimately I earn. It's just a different way of looking at it. You know, and it wasn't that way in the beginning, because I was like, man, I can't afford to give this sale, pass it up to my sponsor. I can't afford it. I need the money. I need to do it. Well, I need the money today. What's the difference? The difference is this. As soon as you change a shift in thinking, you get out of your way, you define what your purpose is, and then you just use your passion to just go full force, nothing will stop you. Nothing. You become truly unstoppable. Nothing can get in my way and stop me right now. I don't care if a tsunami comes through right now. I'm getting my surfboard, I'm going to wait for it to go through, and I'm going to survive, and I'm going to make it through it. I'm driven with passion, but I focused on my purpose. I want to make Vick a sale a day. How cool would that be to know that I did a pass up a day? I was able to do a pass up a day. It'd be fun, wouldn't it? It'd be cool. You'd be like, man, I'm kind of cranking in some numbers now, but all I focused on was how much I was going to give someone else. That's how you conquer yourself. It's not all about you. It really isn't. This is not all about you and your struggle and your problems. Because those are the things you don't want in your life, so why are we going to focus on that shit? Think about it. Think about it. Long and hard. How long have you focused on your problem? Problems are opportunities. We all have those opportunities. It's a chance for you to know how to grow. It's a chance for you to be able to, you know, work through different things and work through kinks, but ultimately it's just growing. That's what struggle is. Your struggle is your success. Your struggle is your success. I mean, I appreciate you coming out, because I know you're here to make money. And it's not all about mindset. It's very, very important. But it's a lot of times just about getting out of your way and conquering yourself. If you use like tools in the mindset trainings like that Paulo did, or Miles, or I've done, or thousands of other people do all over the world all the time, every day, that's available to everyone for free. If you got all those tools, all those mechanics of mindset, and you started integrating them. Mechanics of mindset. I have so many sticky notes, notepads, all over the place. Not because I go back in each one of them, but you know what? Sometimes you just jot something down, stick it up on the wall, and then you just see it the next couple days. And you're like, oh, boom, and it just wires into you. But if you went and got the mechanics of mindset and you started drilling in, you're like, I'm gonna just conquer this. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna get all the gurus. I'm gonna get all this stuff. I'm gonna get all the books. I want to learn mindset. I want to be able to know how to tame my mind, what to focus on, how to do affirmations and proclamations, and how to, you know, make a vision board, and how to read just what to do to have your mind wired for success. So let's say that you did that and you were really good at that, and I did that and I was really good at it, and I sucked at life. I was poor, I was miserable, I was pissed off. You couldn't see it, but I knew it. Why couldn't you see it? Well, sometimes you could. But most of the time I try to protect that, because I knew if I went and blabbed about it, the whole mindset thing was done. Because I went and blabbed about it, my mind's all of a sudden in the gutter. And I used to joke about this to people that were always negative to me. I go, if it wasn't for the gutter, your mind would be homeless. Because our minds were always in the gutter. And it's not easy when you've been beaten. Do you want to know it's not easy? And you're like, why is this happening to me again and again and again? Because you're in your way. You're attracting that to yourself. You're creating minute by minute, your own reality. Every single moment, you're creating your reality. You need to drill into mindset. You need to get out of your way. You need to do anything and everything to shut your mouth about the negativity that lives inside of your brain because of the struggle that you went through. It does not matter what you went through. It sucks. A lot of it's hard. This world is not supposed to be easy, although it really is. But it only becomes easy when you really know what your purpose is. It only becomes easy when you align your passion with that. And when you have your right mindset and you get out of your way. Look, do you realize I'm here right now because I wanted to be here? You see that zoo? That's the zoo. The Honolulu Zoo. Can you see it? I want to make sure you can see it. That's the Honolulu Zoo. There's Diamond Head. There's the beach. And at 5 o'clock, I get to go do free CrossFit right on the beach with about 100 other people. Why do I live here? Because I focused on it over and over. And I didn't even know it. I never would have thought I wanted to move to Hawaii. But what do I love to do? I love the ocean. I love exercise. And I love health. I love getting in the water. You know, and the weather, how can you not love this weather? I love every part of this place, but I never really thought it was possible. I never focused on moving to Hawaii, but what I did focus on was Hawaii. I focused on the zoo, and this is how I did it for over a year. The girl I was dating at the time, I'm like, hey, you know what? Let's, when you graduate from college, let's go to Hawaii. Let's go hiking in Kauai, and I was pumped up on it. I talked about it every day, numerous times a day. I got pictures of Kauai. I got posters. I'd already been there, already been hiking there. I went there right after my brother died, nearly 12 years ago with my other brother, Paul, most of you know, and my dad. And I was like, dude, what an incredible, this place was so magical. I was like, I got to bring you there. So I kept telling my girlfriend, we're going to go there, we're going to go there. You know, and then what was funny is I talked about the zoo probably like 1,000 times because I said, I want a zoo. I want to have a zoo. Okay, I don't want a zoo that big, but I want a zoo of my own. I want to have so much money to have all these cool animals in this zoo in my house, in my place. And you guys can all come over. We just hang out. Hey, let's go check out the elephants. You know, how would that be? But, you know, I talked about it over and over and over and over, and I had nothing. I was so freaking embarrassed and, you know, beaten up. And, like, I remember waiting on a check from ClickBank for $2,000 for, like, it was supposed to come every week for months. And it finally showed up. It was like it showed up when I didn't even need it. And then when it showed up, I was like, man, everything is already gone. My whole life's already changed. You know, but deep down, I never stopped talking about the freaking zoo. I never stopped talking about going to Kauai. You know, when that relationship ended, I still ended up here. Why? Because what I focused on expanded. My mindset was there. I mean, I work my butt off. But I don't just do it so I can have a financial gain. Yeah, I want to live here. Yeah, I want to stay here. Yeah, I would like to buy a sailboat. Sure, I'd like to buy a car. But I'm not like super materialistic type of person. I'm not really into all that. I mean, yeah, it's cool, it's great, I want to be part of it. I mean, I'd be into it, but it's not really what like pumps me up. I love to travel, so that excites me. Being able to travel, know I had enough money to travel, that's what excites me. To know I can have a bigger house, so every time, if you guys are all coming to Hawaii, everyone could just come to my house. That'd be cool. But right now, it's too small. I mean, maybe one of you could sleep on the balcony. Okay, and I think that the reason that I'm here, and the reason that last month I earned over $15,000, or you know, the month before I earned $15,000 after earning about averaging $1,400 a month, was I got out of my way. I conquered myself on a level. I don't know. I know that there's some people that have conquered themselves on every level, and I'm far from that. I'm far from some guru on the internet. I'm tenacious. I work my ass off. I don't ever give up with anything ever. I know, sometimes I know when to move on. I like to try to make the best decision of when to move on. But I work my butt off, and I do different things. And I get way, way, way outside of my comfort zone. When I was training to do webinars 5 years ago, when I first got online, I remember all my job was to do was to introduce the speaker. It's 30 seconds to a minute. So I got my tie on and my suit, and I'd actually wear my baggies, my swim trunks, okay? Because it made me just feel comfortable instead of wearing the whole suit because they're only seeing half the suit. And I get all set up. I remember this. I'd get the lights and these bright lights shine on me in these backgrounds, and I'd try to make it like as best as possible. And then I sat there, and then I first typed it, then I wrote it, and then I read it, and I was like, okay, my name is Steven. I want to, thanks for coming here today. I know you're looking for a job. I want to introduce you to this awesome person. Do you want to know what? I spent hours, days on end, hours per day, days on end doing that. It was super uncomfortable to me. I was not comfortable doing it. Uncomfortable, in fact. You guys might be like, yeah, right. You're super comfortable. You love to do this. You do this every day. I was never comfortable doing it. When I started, I got out of my comfort zone. And you know what? This is another part I'm doing. I'm learning how to blog, okay? And it's super simple. You just log in, you type stuff, you put a photo in there, you put a video. But I want to learn I want to learn this. I know of a way. It's something that I use that's all messed up, and I want to combine it together because it's like an endless funnel. It's an endless sales funnel. And it's used between 3 different elements of our business. That I'm going to teach each and every one of you exactly how to do it because I already know that I get sales. Boom from this chunk, boom from this chunk, boom from this chunk. I want to pull these 3 segments together and have it like an endless funnel. So every day, people are coming to me saying, hey, Steven, I'm ready to get involved in business with you. I knew you would be. Come on, let's get started. In fact, there's somebody watching this right now who's going to email me right now to say, I want to be in business with somebody like you. But why is that possible? Steven got out of his comfort zone. Steven worked on his mindset. Steven got out of his way. It's the truth. If you want to make money, get out of your way. Get out of your comfort zone. I believe that a lot of you are working on your mindset stuff. And it's not a quick fix. I personally want to apologize to some of you because I know some of you are relying on me and I haven't came through for you. Some of you newbies, some of you are brand new, you might not even be on my team, but you're relying on something. I'm going to deliver it in a major way. But what I need for you to do is this. When I deliver, you got to be ready. Don't get back in your way that day. Jump out of your way. Jump on my back if you got to. And let's really make this happen. But don't make me go through all this hard work and be the only one to succeed with it. Because that's not the purpose of this. The purpose is that we can all tap into something that's truly bigger than ourselves, that works. I got paid today from the Empower Network. That's a relief, right? That every single Friday, since I met Vick, except for the first week actually, I got paid. I don't care if it was $10, $20, I mean, it was never less than 25 bucks. But every single Friday I knew that I was going to get paid. Yes, it's because some of you. But it's comforting to know that something works. the difference was for me is everything worked. I was part of so many companies that worked. The company worked, I made money, but it did not work. Over and over and over again. At some point until I was just like, you know, I can't do this anymore. I was never suicidal. I never wanted to kill myself. I know some people go through that shit, man. But I was never there, but I never, ever, ever felt like the way I do right now. And I'll tell you one thing, it's not money. Because I don't have stacks of money. The small amount of money that I've gotten, I've set it up. I've invested it. I've paid people back. I've made progress so I can have a better life and a better future. Because right now you check my bank account and it's low. Because I'm setting things up for tomorrow. And tomorrow, when that tomorrow shows up, I'm not going to let today's problems bother me. There only is one today, and it's right now. So do you think I want to spend my entire today thinking about yesterday? And you think I want tomorrow to be troubled by today's problems? I don't think anyone does. I certainly know that you don't. I see a lot of you that don't participate. Well, if you're here, that's not true for you, but I know a lot of people that don't participate. I sent out an email blast about a hangout I'm doing next week with Vick. And I get a rare chance to do a private hangout with Vick. I can ask him whatever questions I want. It's up to me. I've asked him, what do you want to talk about? He goes, it's up to you, man. So what I did is I asked everybody. And Join a Mentor, there's 220 people in the room. Of those 220 people, I know that over a dozen of you, I know, have earned a substantial amount of money. I know that all the top leaders are utilizing the Join a Mentor system. So why is it all these elite people who are making money, and then other people who really care, who haven't maybe made their breakthrough yet? Let's say there's 200 people, and I send out an email to all 200, and it's short. It says, I'm doing a hangout with Vick. Do you have any questions for him? If only half of those people who even open the email, so half of the people open the email, that's 100, which is cool. Of those 100 who opened it, only half of them wanted to ask Vick a question. That's not smart. Maybe you think that your question will want to get asked. There's a chance of that, of course. I can't ask him everybody's questions. But I'll tell you what, if there's certain questions that was like, boom, I really want to know that too, and then it solidifies it. But if there's a question and you have the same question as somebody else, what if your question is so good and unique that that's the only question that we ask? But you didn't participate, so there's really no way to know. And usually the reason people don't participate is because they're super busy standing in their way. Please, folks, do whatever you got to do. I'll bend over backwards. I'll make this work. You know, I'll do private call. I'll get on the phone with you. I don't even care. I don't care whose team you're in or what company or whatever you're doing. If you're like, hey, you know what? I've listened to you. I've showed up. I've attended. I've done this and this and this, and I'm still just, I'm not having the success. You're gonna get it, but you got to stick through it, and you got to do your part and let other people do their part. I can't do what you have to do. Does that make sense? So next week when we got a system, and we're all going to be using it, and the squeeze page is all, I love the squeeze page. I love it. I think it's awesome. I think it's going to just clean house when we get access to it. But it's going to be a short, simple little system that everyone can access to. So when you get access to this, short, simple, powerful, cool, easy, understandable, please don't show up with your baggage and make other people carry it. I'm telling you this from someone who's had more struggle than anyone that I personally know, that I've ever talked to. My life's been full of it. Tragedy after tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. You know, money, problems after money, problems after money. It's been one huge chaotic event that I created. Things are better now. I don't have to live in that same way. And I'm not going to let those days or those problems or those pain paint tomorrow for me. I'm not going to do that. Why would you? If you trust me and believe me at any level enough to show up here today, you're in your way. Because I'm still in my way today. And I'm getting out of it each and every day. I get out of my way. I do different things. When I go do CrossFit at 5 o'clock in 9 minutes, I get out of my way. That shit's hard. I'm there. I'm like, these kids, the females, the overweight people are all in better shape than me. I'm like, how is this possible? Because they did it more than I did it. They showed up more days. They got in the sand more times. You got to get out of your way. I'll be honest. I wanted to cover a different topic. I was going to actually get into something else. I want to cover some core things about making money. But I didn't. And I know that what I did cover was for you. It was for a reason. I'm glad I did it. And each and every day, you got to get stronger and better. And what's the saying? Every day and every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better. If you just tell yourself just that one thing over and over and over and over throughout the day, lean over, tell your wife, tell your husband, tell your kids, tell your parents, tell your grandparents, tell your friends, tell your enemies. Put it on your Facebook. In fact, everybody put it on your Facebook. Because I'm going to post it on my Facebook right when I'm done with this. So the whole world knows that in every day and in every way, I'm getting better and better. And so are you. Aloha from Hawaii. I hope it helped. Let's lock arms. Let's change the world. Enjoy the journey. Be blessed. God bless you.